Sometimes the market is so easy to read that we make it harder in our minds to execute the trades. What I mean by that is we had a rip at the open today. Nothing but just straight drift higher. No sellers involved. That it's just almost too hard to believe that it could possibly keep going higher. I mean, this is our New York Open here at 9:30, pushing us higher in the direction of trend that I wanted to find trades at today, and we'll look at some setups, so stick around to the end. Then you get another 45 minutes, another 45 minutes. Surely this thing can't keep crawling higher. Now, it does slow down and lose some steam, but there is no deep pullback down to that daily view up, which if you've seen any videos on this channel, I'm a big advocate for finding price around that view up. You can see here pre-market. That's where the move often happens from. So when we miss these pops, I often look for that pullback to reset to that daily view up here in black, but just not enough sellers in the market today that it was all buyers just slowly drifting us higher all afternoon until power hour, which kind of brought us down lower towards that New York view up. But what's said in the long buys, if you needed any help with that as well, just zoom out. This is on the 15-minute. This is where I like to read that directional trend and get a bigger picture idea that why would I want shorts today when we had a bullish Monday to start the week, all bullish above last week's bullish week. Okay, not a lot of selling sentiment yet. And then we come into the day still making higher highs and higher lows to start the week from yesterday. This is all pre-market here today. Yeah, I'm going to lean long buys, especially when we're opening up the day above that New York VWAP or daily view up. But another thing we could turn on is previous day's New York view up. So you go back to the previous day's 9:30 Eastern on that New York Open. We'll turn that blue. You can see just how well it's respected that pre-market. That yes, we had some sells come in during the Asia and London session, but this does not scare me or turn me on to shorts because it's just a pullback in a bullish trend. We find support at that previous day's New York view up where we were holding yesterday, and we find the next leg back into the bullish trend. So we're all on the same page that we want to find longs today. So now we take it to the 1 minute, and this is our New York Open. Just straight elevator drift higher, which, believe it or not, this is some of the toughest price action to trade because there's no real entry signal within here. But it just keeps going higher and higher, and we know it probably wants to go higher, but we yet can't find a way to just jump in and get on in a bullish trend. So the first signal was maybe here. As we get a small pullback, right? In hindsight, we now know that it turned into a drifting day, but at this point, you don't necessarily know that. This first break is just going to rip. They often don't do that. Normally, they'll give you a little break and then retest to that key level, and that's when we find our beautiful trade. Today, not enough strength of sellers to give us that pullback, so this is really your only chance to get in on plan, where if you anchor to that high a day after that bullish pop at the open, you're buying it once buyers are back in. Stop loss is going to be kind of mid-range at these pins back here. And yeah, you clearly get well over 1R in that strong pop higher. And this is one of those trades where you look back at it. This is the type of price action where you can trail your stop loss to a 2-minute candle closure. We can go look at that real quick on the 2-minute. And you'll see if you trailed it every 2-minute candle closure, you'll probably be safe as the next one trail it up, trail it up. No next candle has been taken out until probably maybe over here. Probably getting out pretty close towards the top. If not, you're still getting a nice winner out of that. So really with those, you just got to let them go by. The worst thing to do, it's funny to look back in hindsight, but we were on stream this morning saying there's a high day view up break right here. If we anchor to that new high day that was just made after that big rally higher, buyers are stepping back in here. Do we want to buy that? Extremely high up after an extremely bullish open. Obviously, it's not off a key level. Obviously, it looks pretty overextended. Could it have more gas to just keep going higher? Of course, but it's just not realistic, and I can't forecast that. So I just have to revert back to my plans of I need a deeper pullback, I need it to be off a key level, and we don't take this high day break, which was good, because if you just let these longs go by, missing long opportunity, well, I wouldn't say they're long opportunities, but you're thinking about buying it, and you just keep seeing it go higher without you, that can be very aggravating, because you're saying, I think this wants to go higher. It just looks so bullish. Why am I not in this trade making money on it? But patience is a true superpower that just let it go. Have faith that it can give a pullback of some kind to a key level or not. It's going to take a breath. The markets don't just rally straight up all day. So if you can sit on your hands until it gives you something a little bit better, you can find a nice trade over here. So now we get our deeper pullback. It's the deepest one we've gotten all day. Right? This is just straight drift higher. No real pullbacks in that. Those red candles are not a pullback. That's just a 1-minute candle of bears. But we see it actually get pretty close to the New York view up. But then buyers take back in control on a high day view up break. So let's actually take a look at my trade, because I actually got in before the high day break, which you could see here. But again, I'm clearly super bullish today. We went over the 15-minute. This 1 minute is definitely confirming that as well. This might be the best pullback that we get. Could we come all the way down to New York and that'd be ideal? Of course. But we might not get those bigger pullbacks today because there's just so much clear bullish bias and that much buying power in it that seeing it slow here just a little bit, right? It was enough for me to want to put on the risk to say this might be my best chance to get involved before it continues back higher. And if not, and it does come back down to New York, I have a stop loss below to give me a chance to try to hold through that, right? I'm not giving it a 2-point stop loss saying I'm going to buy the bounce here, and if it breaks that, I want to be out. I'm going to give it room. If it wants to play around with this New York view up, I have all the space for it to hold, and bullish trend can continue. So thankfully, we get in at a pretty good price. It breaks the high day view up. Not the best exit on this one. Well less than 1R, $400, but it's just slowing here. My patience is kind of running out because this is super choppy after missing that longs here. Right, we were just watching this on stream, so I'm getting drained by that, just watching that go higher without us. Then we take this trade, and the longer this takes to really pop higher, and it slows up here, well, I already kind of thought it was a little high because we'll take a look at the 15-minute in a second. It's very high up there, kind of due for a pullback. So that's why it was like the longer this takes, this might want to pull back more because I don't love how high up we are, but clearly we are bullish. I can't fight that. So I got out a little bit, and then, of course, like all trades, as soon as I get out, it pops up to that 1R level. But it's still a solid trade, and I think I have it marked up here as well. If you look at my trade Zella on this day, the high of day break is on, that's a power hour one. I don't know if I actually have it lined up. Maybe this one. That's at the open, but we don't need to look at that one. If you take just the high day view up break, on that one, buyers back in control, right? This is where I just bought it here on that last markup. Mid bounce. If you go with the stop loss at this previous structure back here to these pins, you have a 14-point stop, giving yourself a couple layers of protection. You widen that out, you maybe get 1R on that, not really, 0.8. If you go with the tighter stop loss, you definitely get 1R out of that one. But let's just look at it for the lesson of the trade. Yes, it's slowing, and this is kind of where I got out of my trade, right? Right at that same price that I'm telling you to buy it on this trade. But what are buyers doing? They're defending this high day view up. They're not giving up that control to the sellers, saying we're still hanging in, we're still trying to move higher. Don't just abort this trade. The buyers are still in, and then eventually they get that strong pop for a new high day. So I definitely could have had a better exit on my first trade. But even if you waited and didn't get my low price down here, you can still buy it a little bit higher and still make money out of it because the trend is just that clear and that strong. And there was plenty of opportunities to make money in it. It's not going to be your typical off a key level that I always preach about on this channel. Doesn't make it a bad trade today, right? It just might be a little bit more risky, but it still could be worth the risk. I think any trades we go over, go back and watch my other videos, the bigger the pullback, the better, right? So we could definitely nitpick and find maybe a long opportunity in there. A small pullback, scalp some money in that. There's always going to be small little longs within these markets. But now when you look back at it, that's a nice pullback. That's a nice pullback. The deeper, the better. Filling in some of that gray space. Buyers actually taking a break for an extended period of time. Then I want to look to get in. When if you just take these small ones, yes, they could pay, but they're very tough to time as well, and you'll take lots of losers. Where if you let it pull back, notice how buyers don't take control of this higher day view up. Right? No break, and then buyers do step in with some force. You can go with the stop loss at that structure and drift it higher to the next new high a day. But it does even kind of take a while, right? This is like almost an hour trade, and same lesson, buyers defend this high day view up. They don't give it back up to the sellers, so you definitely still want to be long. It's just kind of tough of how long it takes just to move 13 points. But you were never on the wrong side of view up. You definitely had a strong conviction in the direction, and then you let that thing make a new high a day. Then you re-anchor it. We could zoom it on in. Is this a break of high day view up? Sure, maybe. But it's also a very small pullback. Let it pull back even more. The bigger, the better. No high day view up break there, so we're not in. And then it breaks this at like 3 o'clock. I don't know who's still trading 3 o'clock after such a bullish day, but let's just say you scalp that. 8-point stop. It goes up 7 points. Can you scalp that for a small little winner at 3:40 in the afternoon right before the close? I think so. So it doesn't go full 1R, but maybe you can make money out of that one being real quick, saying, you know what, I just got a little pop there. The day is almost done. Let me get out of that. But you look back at the end of the day, no retest to New York view up. Just one of those days where even like a handoff, there wasn't even really a clean level. The last time we left the New York was back here. It's pretty identical, so nothing super, super clean today. You just got to be, one, comfortable missing moves, right? Like we missed the one at the open. Two, maybe not go outside of your plan fully, but be more a little bit willing to take something like I did today when it's not quite off of a key level, but you know the trend is super, super strong, that you're saying, hey, it's a high day view up break, it's a decent pullback. I know what side of the view up I want to trade on. Let's go low size and try to make some money out of this. And you could definitely make money rather than missing out on a day that is so clearly bullish. It's tough to say, yeah, we should be flat, even though there's not the best setups to our plan. There's still money to be made if we just use our experience and our trading skills, right? Another thing, like I was saying, going back to the 15-minute, normally I'd want this thing to pull back, right? This is, in my opinion, too high to want to buy it without seeing it come down to that overnight view up. And then we find the next leg higher. And many, many days we will find that. But on a day like this, when we've seen it a few times, mostly after like a bank holiday or after a true holiday, there's just too much one side that, hey, there's not enough sellers today. This thing is just going to continue to drift higher. Don't expect those bigger pullbacks. And today was one of those days, right? Because it doesn't come back down. So whatever you were waiting for, it didn't come into play. So hopefully you guys made money on a day like today. Use the 15 minutes to your advantage to read the trend. Get involved with it early. Don't jump in at the highest prices, right? The biggest lesson I would say is, we talked about it on stream, which if you're not a member yet, you could use code Evan to join the AceFX TV streams. I'm live every morning at the open. Always trading my top 1 accounts. I also have a discount for that down below. They're running a 40% off sale right now. But we were watching this saying, damn, how are we not involved in this? This thing is just so bullish. But we got to be patient. We can't just jump in here and take a loss at the very, very high when it's no pullback, no key level, no even good stop loss for, no good level for a stop loss either. If I buy it here, where do I want to be out? Down here? So there's really no key level to even go in at the trade at. So you just got to give faith and confidence and patience and discipline, all that good stuff that, hey, it's early on in the day. It's 10:30. I could still find a good trade later on, and that's exactly what we did. We bought it and scalped it a little bit higher. Not the biggest win, but we made some money on a Tuesday that was extremely bullish. So better off just letting these things go by, feeling no FOMO, because you just look back at the end of the day even, whether you took my trade or not, there's plenty of another leg that you can make money on the rest of the day. It's just up to you if you burnt yourself out trying to chase this too high. And it's also, honestly, pretty hard to lose money. Even if you did jump in on that, I'm sure you probably made money because it didn't really pull back at all. So it's just a matter of if you ended up buying it up here, then unfortunately, yeah, you're too late. But don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, drop a comment. If you want more videos like this, drop them down below. What other videos would you like to see? Price action based, view up. What do you want to learn most about? But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to check out the discounts all below. Trade safe, and I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.